What's up, guys? This is the Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is I, and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for joining me once again, my friends. I hope all is well with you. Now, guys, you might recall about a year or so ago, I did this adorable little video, and it was called Why We Love Dead Black Men. We love us some dead black men in this society. Yes, we do. And at the time, I was applying this to the death of Chadwick Boseman and how the MCU used the death of Chadwick Boseman to further what they wanted to do with the Black Panther franchise. And of course, that is exactly what they did. Today, we're going to talk about George Floyd. Now, George Floyd means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. For example, for some people, George Floyd is a running joke. They love it. They love to put it in their memes and their gifs and all of this stuff. And to other people, he's a martyr. To other people, he's a money-making opportunity, a political agenda. You know, he's all of these things. And as usual with dead black men, there's not a whole lot given in consideration to the actual human being and how he might have lived his life. Either you're laughing at him or you're trying to use him to further your political gain. Now, the reason that I'm bringing this up is because news has come out that they're going to be doing a biopic of George Floyd, and this is going to be executive produced by his daughter. All right, so I'm going to read a little bit off of Variety.com, and then I'm going to talk about what I hope that they would do here, because they have an awesome opportunity to do something like really significant with what happened with George Floyd and possibly affect other generations. You guys know that I'm all about that. Messages to the kids. All right, so we're going to get into the headline here, and it says, George Floyd biopic, Daddy Changed the World, is in the works with his daughter executive producing. So the name of it is Daddy Changed the World. And of course, he did. The question is, was it for the good, for the better, or for the worse? Because as you know, the death of George Floyd, as I said before, was taken so far. So much was done in his memory, in his honor. This is the reason why we have all of these ludicrous DEI initiatives at these companies. In the spirit of George Floyd, they say, right? And this is the reason why a lot of them are slowly but surely being brought back, okay? They pushed so hard that they went way too far, okay? So that's my opinion. But going on, it says here, a family-authorized George Floyd biopic titled Daddy Changed the World is in the works from Radar Pictures, 8 Queens Film and Media Productions, and Night Fox Entertainment. George Floyd's daughter, Gianna Floyd, and her mother, Roxy Washington, are involved in the making of the film, serving as executive producers. Now, George R. Anderson from Stomp the Yard will write the screenplay for the movie, which will capture the life of a man whose murder in 2020 sparked a global racial reckoning and fueled the movement against police brutality. The film is still in search for a director. Might I suggest Woody Allen? Ted Field serves as producer for Radar Pictures alongside Dr. Kaida Rankin for 8 Queens and Timothy Christian for Night Fox. The 46-year-old Floyd, okay, we know that story, what happened to him. It says here, the biopic will apparently not portray Floyd as a perfect person, but rather a father with human flaws whose horrific death changed the world. Okay, listen, George Floyd was not a perfect person, but rather a father with human flaws. Okay, got it. I am not a perfect person. I'm a father with human flaws. George Floyd was also a career criminal and a raging drug addict, okay? Don't get triggered by that. That's actually a fact, okay? I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but once again, I do believe this is going to be in line with honoring him and what he would have wanted when you talk about a life story based upon him. It will not be a traditional biopic, more a gritty drama of a man and his community thrust into the fiery light of history, according to a press release. Think about that. It's not going to be a typical biopic. It's going to be a gritty drama of a man and his community thrust into the fiery light of history. Okay, he wasn't... Okay, well, like I said, we'll get into that in a minute. Washington said in a statement, "We are excited the world will see the real, jovial, and loving George we know." It depends on how you knew him. See, this is what I'm talking about, guys. The film will humanize him, embody the essence of his life, and hopefully ignite efforts to pass the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. It's time for justice and equality for all. And of course, I'm all for humanizing him. Ultimately, that's what I'm talking about here. Okay, but then they boil it down to saying that this will help to ignite the efforts to pass the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. It's time for justice and equality for all. So it's easy to see where they're going with this. They want his life and death to be a jump off for their political agenda. Okay, and keep that in mind. She added, "We need to make changes swiftly. No other child should lose their father like Gianna did. We thank everyone who stood with us and protested. George's legacy will live on through this film." And I can agree. No other child should lose their father like Gianna did. But remember, guys, how George Floyd ended up where he was is directly related to the choices that he made throughout his life. So when you want to talk about initiatives and you want to talk about what you're going to remember and what the message of his life should be, I would imagine, I would hope, I would wish that part of what they're going to do with this biopic is also show the bad decisions that he made and how that led to his confrontation with police. Because keep in mind, guys, I am a middle-aged man, a middle-aged black man, a middle-aged black big man, and I have never been brutalized by the police. I've never been arrested. And a lot of that has to do with not just because I'm lucky, but because of the choices that I have made all throughout my walk of life. I always knew I never wanted to be in police custody. I never wanted to be in jail, right? So I was raised to make better choices every step of the way when it comes to drugs, when it comes to crime, when it comes to alcoholism. And it has not been easy, but I knew that I didn't want the alternative. You know what I mean? So it's all about choices. You don't just get thrust, as this says. You don't just get thrust into a fiery spotlight of the media. There are careful choices that you make along the way. And I would hope that this is something that George would want kids to know. I believe it is. And I will attempt to prove that in a minute. The killing of George Floyd was a tragic, shameful moment in our nation's history. Night Fox's Christian added in a statement, "His story, while painful, deserves to be told, and I'm grateful to be a part of it." Rankin added, "I am committed to using my platform and my talents to make a positive impact in the world. By telling George Floyd's story and shedding light on the injustices faced by marginalized communities, I hope to inspire change and create a better future for generations to come. George Floyd's legacy will not be forgotten, and I am honored to be a part of this important project," he said, or she said. But you see what they're really saying here is, I want to make a change. I want to have a lasting legacy, and I'm going to use what happened to George Floyd to do it. Once again, utilizing the convenient dead black man to further our own political aspirations, you know, and also gain some probably notoriety as well. Okay, so the question has to be, once again, is this what they want? Is this their perspective? Which I imagine it is. They're the creative team. Are they more concerned with that than they are what the actual man might have wanted? Now, once again, I know a lot of us aren't concerned with what George Floyd might have wanted because he's a symbol to too many people. To some people, he's a symbol of hypocrisy. He's a symbol of injustice because they believe that Derek Chauvin was railroaded. He's a symbol of humor, you know, irony, you know, all of that stuff. And to other people, he's a symbol of martyrdom, you know. But I want to read a little bit from George Floyd's Wikipedia page because we are all, of course, familiar with his drug addiction. We are familiar with his criminal record. It was extensive. So we're not going to get into that, all right? We're going to start with what happened after he got out of prison. And of course, after his release, we're going to consider a few things, all right? There's a point to this, guys, okay? I'm not asking you to feel sorry for him. I'm just asking you to consider this. After his release, Floyd became more involved with Resurrection Houston, a Christian church and ministry where he mentored young men and posted anti-violence videos to social media. So that tells me to some degree, George Floyd understood the consequences of individual actions. What happens when you go wrong? Nobody mentors young men and talks about anti-violence if they just think it's a matter of police attacking black people. Okay, we're just perpetual victims. We are being hunted, you hear a lot of these people saying, specifically people from the American Society of Magical Liberals. They love for black people to just know that they're victims. It's hopeless. But George Floyd, on some level, did not believe that, because he reached out to young men and talked about this, talked about the choices that they make and anti-violence. Okay, he delivered meals to senior citizens and volunteered with other projects such as the Angel by Nature Foundation, a charity founded by rapper Trey the Truth. Later, Floyd became involved with a ministry that brought men from the Third Ward to Minnesota in a church work program with drug rehabilitation and job placement services. A friend of his acknowledged that Floyd had made some mistakes that cost him years of his life, but that he had been turning himself around through religion. An influential member of his community, Floyd was respected for his ability to relate to others in his environment based on a shared experience of hardships and setbacks, having served time in prison and living in a poverty-stricken project in Houston. In a video addressing the youth in his neighborhood, once again reaching out to the youth, Floyd reminds his audience that he had his own shortcomings and flaws, and that he is not better than anyone else, but also expresses his disdain for violence that was taking place in the community, and advises his neighbors to put down their weapons and remember that they are loved by him and by God. All right, now to some people, you can't see what this is, all right? You're just thinking, oh, he's a hypocrite. He didn't live what he was preaching. But see, when you're an addict, right? When you go down that road where you're just making bad choice upon bad choice upon bad choice, it's almost like a tennis thing. It goes back and forth, back and forth. You're positive, you're negative, you're trying, you're failing, you're trying. This is why a lot of guys who are in jail, right? They do reach out to mentor young men. Specifically young black men who are going down the wrong path, because they don't want them to do what they did when their life gets out of control. I've had some people in my family that way. And unfortunately, a lot of them tend to lose their battle, as George Floyd did. He lost his battle with drug addiction, and he lost his battle with staying out of trouble, and ultimately he ran out of time. Who knows if he had lived long enough, whether he would have gone further, whether he would have been more successful. His life was about trying, at least. You see this. He went to drug rehab. He mentored people. All right. He was a human being who had human failings. Why, there is this lawyer that some of us know about in this neck of the woods of YouTube who is also struggling with addiction. And everybody wishes this lawyer well. Yeah, we're talking about Nick Rekieta. I'm just going to put it out there. Okay. We all hope that he's doing better. We hope that he's able to overcome what it is that he's dealing with, because we know how unstable that lifestyle can be. Easily, you could end up dead. You could overdose. Your lifestyle could put you in the crosshairs of some very dangerous people. So we hope and we pray that the person does better. Now, of course, there are people out there who are just chomping at the bit to make fun of it all. It's all a big joke until that person dies. And even then, they continue to make jokes about this, as you see with George Floyd. You get ignorant people out here. Even with Nick, you see people online. But that's the way people are wired, guys. All right, that's online. That's internet. That's what it is. But when you relate this to the George Floyd biopic, what I would hope is that they would actually honor what this man stood for in his struggles. Even though he might have failed, you can give him some victory. Obviously, this man didn't believe in being a victim of his own bad choices, of his own consequence. He wanted to reach out to kids and let them know you can do better. He said he wanted them to remember that you're loved by him and you're loved by God. All right. Now, these people want to stress the George Floyd, what did they say? Justice in policing. They want to talk about police brutality. They want to talk about black people as victims. As usual, the American Society of Magical Liberals will never ever allow us to believe that we can change. And this would be a perfect cautionary tale. That's what I would hope would come from this. If his daughter is executive producing it, honey, I want you to honor your father and continue his work, reaching out to young men, reaching out to young black men, and let them know, remind them that George Floyd loves them. On the other side of this, on the other side of life, whatever you want to believe in, George Floyd would not want for young men to be criminals and drug addicts. He wouldn't want them to go down the road that he went that led to his untimely demise. On the other side of this, there's nothing but truth. And the truth of the matter is that the choices that we make will make or break our lives. This is a rare opportunity. You're getting money to produce this thing. I hope, I wish, I pray that you do it right. All right, guys, thank you for listening. As always, you can get in the comment section. You can leave your comments. You can like, you can share, you can subscribe. If you want to contribute to the channel through the Super Thanks feature in the pinned comment below. Actually, no, that's the Cash App in the pinned comment below. And the Super Thanks feature, that's actually on every video. It's a feature that you can use if you do want to contribute to the channel. All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening, and I will catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.